Hello everyone, it's Logan Brown with the Outlaw Mini Mod series, and today we have Ben Kraus, number 9. We call him the Bullet. Ben is one of our top dogs in the division, and today we want to sit down and ask him a couple questions on why he chose the Outlaw Mini Mod series. How did you even hear about the Outlaw Mini Mod series?
Well, actually a couple years back, I first saw them, I think when Adam Ackerman first got into his car with Rick. They weren't really in this area yet. They were kind of running them up at Chateau and more in Minnesota at that time. They actually had the car over at the swap meet in Mason City. That's where I first actually got to look at one close. And they really tried to talk us into it. And at that time, we were just making the move into an A-Mod. And I really didn't have the time to take a really good look at her. I didn't think that I did. Hindsight 2020, I probably should have looked a lot closer and made that decision a lot sooner.
Because of maybe the size difference of the car, or what made you not want to jump in it then and there?
I think it looked small, and I guess when you looked at it, it just didn't look quite as prestigious as it. And then when around here, when you and I grew up, what did you want to race?
I want to run an A-Mod.
We wanted to run an A-Mod.
Yeah.
That was everybody's goal, running karts, moving up. You know, all of our idols run A-Mods. That's where we wanted to be. And then at that time in my life, that's where I really wanted to be. So I kind of just glazed over the top of it and went on my merry way and stuck there. So
last season, I let you drive one of my cars at Lansing Speedway, Chateau Speedway in Minnesota. I gave you one night trying to sell you over to our division. What was your first thoughts after you drove it for the first night?
Yeah, I have to thank you for that too, because that was huge. And I to that point, I didn't really think about it. We were kind of in limbo with the A-Mod. It wasn't going at that point quite as well as we had hoped. I was getting basically outspent. We're a family-run team, and I just didn't quite have the money to jump over that hump to be up front every week. We were there at times, and we were very competitive. We were a top 5 car, but I mean, we couldn't get over that hump to get those wins, and we were missing things that we just couldn't afford. Then we jumped into this car and I drove it that night, and honestly I don't think you could ever wipe the smile off my face. These things are the most fun, like darty, racy cars you'll ever drive. They're super light, you can get in and out of traffic, yet they got horsepower there. When you jump on the throttle, they get up and they go. They got like a weird torque. They don't sound like it and they don't look like it, but when that little crotch rocket motor wraps up, they just like take off.
They do.
They just wind up really quick.
They accelerate.
Which is really cool. And I think that night was the best of it is the first car to the 10th place car where I started. I think there were like 18 cars in it. We started somewhere in the middle after the redraw, but everywhere everyone was racing somebody. It didn't matter whether I was racing for 5th place or 10th place. I was trying to race the guy in front of me, and the guy behind me was trying to race him, and there was a big blank, and we were running 2, 3 wide. Sometimes you had to go around the cushion, try to get around one guy. The next guy, you had to go to the bottom. I mean, it was just racing nonstop from the green flag to the checkered flag, and that was so much fun. And I'd miss that because at times the big cars just get so spread out, or if you make a mistake and you lose that ground, you can't make that up. But if you tried something and you made a mistake, 1 or 2 laps later, you're right there to try it again. So that was a cool part about them. And honestly, on the whole way home, I was just chattering my dad, "We got to get one. We got to get one." You know, I think it's time to do something different to make racing fun again. And then actually 1 year ago yesterday is when we went and picked up our car.
Nice. What you just said is make racing fun again. Mm-hmm. There is countless of people that I speak to every weekend, and we've asked this question to many people. Doesn't look like you're having too much fun. Sometimes you're loading the car up, you guys are upset. Maybe you guys should look into a different division that's more affordable, faster, or just the same speeds. Every week I see your dad and yourself, you're smiling. You're racing again. You're having fun. So
that's the fun thing. I mean, even now just talking about it, you can still see, I mean, I get excited. And then my wife tells me the same thing, that it's fun to see me excited about going to the track again. With the A-Mod, I got so beat down just from trying and trying and trying. We spent every night in the shop just trying to get that thing faster and get that thing over the hump. And it didn't work for me. It works for some guys, it just didn't work for me. And it literally took the fun out of it to the point to where I would almost hope that it would get rained out so we didn't have to go. That's sad to say, because honestly I grew up racing. I love it. And I knew at that very moment we had to do something different. And I wouldn't say that I stepped down. Just because something's cheaper doesn't mean it's a step down. I would have said this is more like a step straight across, because we're still running the same track and the same speed, if not faster than the divisions I raced in before. And you're racing against more drivers most nights. I know the B mod still has a high count, but the A mod count around here is always usually still pretty low. Everywhere we go, we're either the highest or the second highest car counts. I mean, we run 15 to 20 cars a night. I know the series races, they were like 25.
Yeah.
So those are good full fields. And that, like I said, I think it just gets looked down upon because it costs less. And I think that's what people need to get out of their heads. Just because something costs less doesn't mean it's not as cool or it's not as fast or things like that.
And one thing you mentioned there was shop time. How much time do you feel that you spend to get this race car ready to rock and roll for a race on a weekend?
I'm very meticulous, so I mean I check everything. All the nuts, all the bolts, every heim.
Tire work.
I wash everything. The whole body basically comes off the night after we race it. So I roll it out of the trailer, and on about every week I spend about 2.5 hours. So from the time that I roll it out of the trailer to the time it's going back in is about 2.5 hours.
So you tell me 2.5 hours after you race a car, 2.5 hours later, it's ready to hit the next week's track.
Yep. So and then if we run back-to-back days, I don't quite go through all of that just because that's a time thing. And if you would just do a quick nut and bolt check and just make sure all the heims are loose and grease them quick, I mean, it maybe takes an hour.
Now, how much time did you spend in the shop on your A mod or B mod?
Probably 3 to 4 hours every night we raced it.
Exactly.
So that was 3 to 4 hours before Friday, and then if we raced again on Sunday, and I have to get up Sunday morning, spend another 3 or 4 hours. So we were, I mean, basically what I figured is every night we raced it, it took me another night to get it ready.
Correct. Some of these drivers out there that don't have as much shop time or they're taken away from family time, it's another reason to look into this division, this class. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fun. It allowed me to do a lot more things with my family, with my wife, with my friends. And the fun thing about this is, too, right now, like, we don't race every single weekend. Like, it's like a spread out deal. We get a lot of races, don't get me wrong. I think I raced like 22 races this summer, and it was kind of a shortened summer with Mason being out. But, like, it was fun to have a weekend off that you could go do something still and, like, still enjoy that stuff. But yet the next weekend you're racing 2-3 nights to make that up. I mean, that's really cool about it, too. And when you don't have $30,000 to $60,000 in a car, it can sit if it needs to. That is a whole lot nicer. So if we had something going on and a race was happening, I had no problem letting it sit if it needed to. So that was kind of a big stress reliever, because when I grew up and we went through all that stuff, things didn't sit. You just missed out. You went racing.
Oh, yeah. You go racing every week, no matter what.
Because you had to pay for what it costed.
How many tires did you go through? How much fuel did you go through compared to your B mod, A mod?
So that was awesome. This is definitely the coolest part, is these cars go just as fast, if not faster, and we have lap times we found on my race pass. But honestly, I bought a 55-gallon drum of race fuel, which is like 91 octane from Sunoco is all we get, 91 or 93, whatever guys prefer to run. That cost me through a sponsor $125. I only used half of that barrel, so I spent $50 on an entire year's worth of fuel.
Money you can save in fuel and tires. And tires, how many tires did you go through this season?
So, and I know fuel-wise in a big car, I went through 3 of those barrels in a summer.
Okay.
So, so there that difference is, and those barrels were more because we were running 110. So they were like $250 to $300 a barrel. So I mean, you were cutting it way down fuel-wise, and tire-wise, I mean, every 2 to 3 nights you're putting new tires on an A mod. I mean, and I that's me because I'm cheap. I mean, I ran them way down. There's guys that run them one night and put new stuff on. So I literally have a stack of 5 used tires sitting in the shop that are worn out from the summer. That is it. I put one right front on. I put one left front on because I cut it down. And I put 2 sets of rear tires on it. So I guess there's 6. There must be a 6th one floating around there. But so 2 sets of rear tires, I think, and the ones that are still on there now are still going. So there's just maybe 6 tires.
So at the end of the day, if someone went out and had 8 wheels and tires to start the season, they could pretty much run the season on 8 tires.
Oh yeah, and I mean it varies too. When the tracks get really dried out toward the end of the year, you start burning off a little more. But on most regular nights, heck, you don't even hardly blister them, or even there are a few nights that I didn't even have to rescuff them. They were still that good to run the next week. That all I did was power wash them, and they were still that good. So I mean, that's the cool part about these, and they're not real expensive. They're getting closer to what the other ones cost. But I mean, when they're lasting, you know, my left front or my right front went 17 nights, and my rears are going 10 to 12. That's huge, and the cost saving, and and you don't have near the tire prep because they're so much smaller. So grinding them takes a lot less time. Washing them takes a lot less time. I'm not big on grooving them. A lot of guys are. They can groove them if they like to. I just do a lot more siping, which cuts my time a lot. So I mean, there's hardly any. I mean, that's gone way inside. I mean, within that 2 hours, I think maybe a half hour of it's on tires, maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
No, and that's awesome, and that's what Nathan Kilwine has built this Batwing chassis and series off of before I took over. Is fast, affordable fun. So that's what this is pretty much all about here. One last question I have for you, Ben. If you could tell any of these drivers out there your number one selling point, why are you going to buy an Outlaw Mini Mod Series race car?
So I wish we could have it here right now, but everybody says that they don't pay anything. And it's not as cool because it's not as fast. But I will tell you, last weekend at the 2-day show at Mason City, if you would have won Saturday and Sunday night, you could have went home with $1,000 in your pocket. And I only won Sunday and I got $500. I know back in my B mod, it only paid $250 to win on a regular weekly. Most of our tracks now pay at least $200 to win on a weekly show. So it's not even you're making less, and you're spending less on top of that.
Correct.
I mean, I probably have half as much in a B mod. So what I spent on a B mod to this is probably half, and what I was spending on an A mod is probably somewhere around a third, if that. So I mean, you're spending that much less, and you're still making the same amount of money. And $500 is huge. I mean, I think it's what, like $1,200 for a new chassis, $1,299 or something like that. That Nathan's got them at right now because of the stuff. But even think about that. If you would have won both nights last weekend, you could have bought yourself a brand new car. What you made in one weekend,
a new frame.
Yes, that is just crazy. And I hear guys every time you go through the pits and you talk to them all, why aren't you winning? You know, what's going on? And they will tell you it's because I'm getting out-dollared. The coolest thing about this class is you cannot do that. I don't care if you have as many dollars as you want. You'll never outspend somebody else because you can't do it. The chassis are spec. The motors are spec. The tires are spec. Everything on that is set to a spec. So even if you had all brand new stuff, it doesn't contribute to wins like it does in a big car.
Correct.
You can't just go out and buy wins.
Correct.
You have to be able to drive a car and whatever else. I mean, I've seen guys in new cars. My car's a 2018. I mean, it's got 4 years on it already, and it's still quick.
Up front winning.
I mean, you can still run it anywhere, and it will be quick no matter where it goes. So that's the cool thing, and everything from a 2015 chassis to a 2022 chassis, they're all the same. They're all jigged on the same jig from what Nathan is building them like, because they don't want people to have to buy everything new every year and make it affordable that way, which is the cool thing. And then the thing is that when I leave the racetrack at the end of the night, if I got beat, it's because somebody outdrove me. Or they drew better than I did and I couldn't get there. Those things I can go home at the end of the night and be okay with. That's part of racing. If somebody outdrives me, they deserved to win that race. And that's what I think the biggest thing is here, is everybody has the same car, whether you're 60 or you're 12 or you're somewhere in between, or what you've ever driven in the past. It doesn't matter. When you leave that track, everybody has the same opportunity to win. It's just all set up in driver.
Correct.
So if you want to go out and you want to have fun again, and you want to put a smile back on your face, and you want to have a family, and you want to be able to afford to go racing all the time, and go all over the Midwest. I mean, that's a cool part too. We raced northern Minnesota to southern Iowa to Wisconsin. When you want to be able to do that, this is your class.
Because you can afford to do that because of the money you save throughout the season. You can afford to put the gas in the vehicle and go to Minnesota, Wisconsin, southern Iowa, wherever we go. So the savings are there. But with that said, Ben, I appreciate everything that we went over here today. And make sure you stay tuned to the Outlaw Mini Mod Series Facebook page, outlawminimodseries.com, for these links. We appreciate your time and everything that you and your family have done for this series. Your dad as well, Tom. He's been our tech official for the class. He stepped up in a big way. With that said, I thank you for your time doing this interview, and hopefully we can bring some light to hobby stock, B mod, A mod, stock car drivers, and hopefully they can join the Outlaw Mini Mod Series.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I have to thank you and Nathan for putting on such a great series and building such great cars, and like I said, honestly bringing fun back into racing.
Hey, fast, affordable fun. That's what the series is about.
So hopefully we see you guys there.